Adam here, the Orlando drummer. Good to see you, and thank you for tuning in to another drum lesson. In today's lesson, we're tackling a fill that's centered around the badass rudiment called the Herta, but the phrasing and the orchestrations that we're going to apply to this fill make for a really unique challenge. We have 3 examples to cover, so let's get started. In our first example, I just want us to focus on the rhythm of this fill, and we'll circle back and talk about that hi-hat tom craziness a little later in this lesson. So the first beat of music is made up of a single kick drum followed by a Herta 3. And if you're not familiar with the Herta, you might look at that pattern and say, why is that not called a Herta 4? Because there's clearly 4 notes following the kick drum in beat 1. We call this 4-note pattern a Herta 3 because technically the length of the Herta 3 is 3 16th notes long. Now you'll see that one of those 16th notes has been divided into 2 32nd notes, but that doesn't change the fact that it's still 3 16th notes in length, the Herta 3. For beat 2, it's much simpler. I just want you to look at right, left, left. We have an accented right hand and 2 left hand ghost notes, and technically this is our entire 7-note pattern, because as you can see on the kick drum on the of beat 2, this exact pattern repeats again, putting us 14 16th notes into a 16th note fill. So all we need is 2 notes left over at the end. We're going to play those as an accented right, left. Let's give this a shot. Just kick and snare at 60 and 90 BPM. Now, I know you want to move those hands around. Trust me, I know how tempting it is to want to experiment with a new pattern right away. But if you can, stay kick and snare as long as possible, because learning a fill like this with the orchestration ingrained into the fill makes it way less versatile down the road, and it's going to give you more problems than it's actually worth. So kick and snare as long as you can. But if that's feeling good, let's move on to example 2 and get this thing a little bit more mobile. For this next example, we're just going to focus on the orchestration of the fill and not so much the phrasing. And for that reason, I've notated this as just a half measure fill, and the good news is we're only actually moving 3 notes from our original pattern. For orchestration, I want you to play the 2 32nd notes inside of the Herta up on the hi-hat, and the right hand that follows those 2 notes, we're going to shoot that over to the floor tom. Otherwise, all these other notes are identical to what we learned in our last example. For beats 3 and 4, I just want you to play quarter notes on the hat, and we'll loop it from there. Let's try it out at 60 and 90 BPM. Now remember that the Herta is one of those weird rudiments where there's a fine line between making this sound corny and believable, and it's just not that hard to make this fill sound shitty. So please know that it's well worth your time to get the pattern down solid and the orchestration solid before combining those 2 things together. If you're patient and work on those things individually, they're going to combine and make a way more genuine sounding fill. Let's move on to example 3. So for our full fill, we are truly just combining the last 2 examples. We're sticking to that 7-7-2 phrasing, but each of those 7-note patterns has to have the orchestration that we covered in example 2. For the right left at the end, we're going to leave those notes accented. I just want you to take the right hand and move that up to your rack tom. But needless to say, those notes and any of the notes in this fill can be moved anywhere you want. Let's give our final fill a shot at 60, 90, and 120 BPM. Good luck. Alright guys, that's all I have for you in this one, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking for more content like this, come join me on orlandodrummer.com, where you'll find hundreds of lessons already waiting for you and a brand new drum lesson every single week. Of course, a special shout out goes to my friend Nick DePiro, who's the guitarist of the band Night Verses. He wrote the loop that we used for this video. That loop is one of 6 in his new guitar pack, which is available on orlandodrummer.com. Link is in the description. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Adam here, the Orlando Drummer, and I will catch you in the next lesson.